Hey everyone, I'm Jonathan from Motorcycology. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. And thanks for being here. I really appreciate your support and that you guys watch these videos. So in today's video, it's a pretty simple video. It's doing a tour of this 1987 Honda CRX just to show some of the features. Some people have been asking to show some of the unique features of this Honda CRX, which is a Honda Civic, I guess, from 1987. Me being the original owner, had it since I was 25, and you know what, it still looks in pretty good shape for being that old. So I hope you enjoyed the video. It's going to be a relatively quick one. Tried to highlight some of the areas, and yeah, so enjoy, and let's dive into it. Okay, this is the actual original piece of literature that I got with the car, and as you can see in this picture here, it more or less looks the same. This is a little bit lighter gray at the bottom, but other than that, it looks the same. So let's check out what Honda was offering in 1987 for the Civics. So over here you have what they're calling a hatchback deluxe. You've probably seen those around on the street. Four-door sedan, which looks pretty basic. The Civic wagon, which looks very much like that one when you think about it. And then we have the Civic 1500, which is here. And then at the bottom we have the Civic CRX 1.5 liter coupe, which is what I'm showing in this video. And that's what that looks like. Just flipping through this book relatively quickly. All right, so this one has the typical Honda hatchback deluxe and some narrative on that. Nice spread on the Honda Civic sedan. And the Honda Civic sedan interior, which has the front seats and the bench at the back, which is kind of cool. And then you're into the Civic wagon, which would be neat to have, I think anyway. And now we're into the Civic 1500. Not too bad. Looking more CRX-ish, I guess. Same wheels. And then finally, you're into the CRX. And the narrative here basically says, let them eat dust. The CRX opened a lot of eyes when it was launched a couple of years ago. Motor Trend made it their import car of the year. Everyone marveled at its innovations, its performance, and its price. And it has a whole bunch of other stuff in there. The 5-speed is the sweetest thing to ever touch your fingertips. I can say that it's worked really well for the past X amount of years, 30-something years, and had no issues with it. It's worked great, so totally happy with it. And there's a picture of the interior here, which basically models my car. And let's see what else we've got here. Oh yeah, I wrote this when I was 25 years old, exactly the same color as my car. That's kind of cool. And let's see, we've got some basic specs here as far as innovations, you know, the engine, some of the controls for the headlights and the wiper, different shifters. Mine's the one in the middle, I think. And we've got some more interior shots, the mirrors, and the various radios. I still have my original radio, which is that one there. And it has some general specifications in it, which are kind of cool to have for this old car, at least some original documentation. anyway, just thought I would include this in the video. Here's a quick look of the exterior of this CRX. So it's a 1987 CRX. You'll notice the blue panel and the front silver piece and the left front panel. So those are from my other two CRXs, which are work in progress, and I've got the original red ones off and I'm just repairing those and getting those painted. So here's the CRX. It's a historic vehicle. It's a 1987 first generation CRX. I bought it brand new years ago. And that's just the hatch. I'm just going to show you a few interesting things about this car. So this car had an option to put in rear speakers, and they're in this area here. This panel is replaceable with one that's got a speaker built into it. The car was already pre-wired for speakers, so pretty easy to put in the aftermarket stuff on there. Same piece here. If I could ever find the original ones, that would be great. And there's a small compartment here that can open up to store things, and then under here is where you have your high pressure spare tire. Looking at this side is pretty cool too. It's got a really interesting curved window, especially at that front, so really hard to find if you happen to break one, but adds a little bit of styling to the vehicle. And in the back here, this thing here is lockable, but it's just a very shallow tray where you can put some cleaning supplies or whatnot and just put it in there. You get a little bit of space in the back behind the seats, and in the front seat you get tons and tons of room. So back then, just regular locks, crank window. Continuing to move around the car here, here's the passenger side mirror, and they're controllable with that little lever, so no major electronics there. And let's have another look on the exterior. So this panel's from my other CRX, and as mentioned, I've put this in place temporarily while I repair the original red one. Same for the front piece between the headlights, and same with that silver piece as well. That's from my silver 1987 CRX. Looking down to the tires here and the rims, those are original option rims. Super hard to find. I've never personally seen another CRX with the same rims, so I'm really happy to have those ones on this particular vehicle. So moving on, here's your gas tank here. It's got a little door that is a lockable door. The lever is down here by the driver's side. You just lift that up and it's cable connected to the latch here, and once that's open, that pops open. And there's your gas tank cover cap, and it's a pretty innovative design for that time period, I think. So moving into the interior of the car, let's see what we've got here. So looking inside, you've got the general dash and display, pretty conservative by today's standard. That's what it looks like more or less when you're driving it. Some of you guys wouldn't know what this knob is, other people would. That's the sign or indicator for the choke, and that is a multi-stage choke as far as pulling it out. So we're down here, that's the hood release, and you've got the clutch, brake, and gas pedal down below. And moving up to the top, here's a rear window defroster, which still works. Over here you have the knob or the dial that adjusts the brightness on your dash. Looking down here on the left side from a driver's point of view, you've got your headlight control. So this is the parking brake, those are the regular beams, and then to put on the high beams you just put it towards you, it clicks on and clicks off. Moving over to the right side, you've got the ignition spot where the key goes. It's pretty simple, and still have the original key. On this side you have your climate control. It's still electronic, but it's still pretty rudimentary, and all buttons and items work on this particular car. Down here is where the original cigarette lighter would go, and I just put this plug in here. No one's ever smoked in this car. And then you've got the ashtray, which in my case looks brand new, and I've got the aftermarket remote for the aftermarket stereo. I still have the original stereo, which is a cassette, which is cool. Up front you've got all your vents. There's a couple for the middle. There's one over on the passenger side and one that comes up at the top of the window, which helps for the defrost. You've got a quartz clock in here, which is on full time when the car's on, but if the car's off and you want to see the time, you just press that and the time will eventually come up. Moving down from the clock, you've got this built-in small compartment on the dash, and I use that for miscellaneous things including sunglasses. You've got the normal glove box down here on the right, and that's a fairly decent size. And then over here, of course, you've got the 5-speed manual transmission, which is basically 1 up, 2 down, over to 3, straight down to 4, up to the right to 5, and down to reverse, including a handbrake right there as well. So you can see from a driver's perspective, there's a lot of glass on this car, and there's a lot of window space to look through. So you actually get amazing views in this little car. And this is just a look at the headliner, the really simple sun visors and headliner that this car has. Let's see what else we have here. So looking at the door here has a 1987 fix for not locking yourself out of the car. So once you open the door, let's say you're the driver, you can't lock that one automatically. So the goal is to force you to close it unlocked and then use the key on the outside to lock it. But you can lift this thing out and then push that in, which also locks it as well. That is a bad habit to get into doing. I don't know how many times I've done this and left my keys in, so best just to not lock it and then lock it from the outside. On the passenger side, it doesn't work that way. So you can see these little scratches from trying to get coat hangers in there over the years to unlock it. Not easy to unlock either. So when this is closed, that's not going to unlock. So very difficult from the outside. Tricky. We've got the vents and the defrost. This is the original tag, and you can see that this thing was made in January 1987 in Japan. So that's pretty cool to have that. That's all original and basically has not changed too much since it was new. And that's the original Honda color, which is R63, or also known as Rio Red. And over here, there's some more general information on this label sticker, which is original. And it basically gives you things like tire pressure for hot and cold, and front and rear tires as well. So that's pretty useful to have, and happy that it's in good shape on this vehicle. So standing back, that's kind of like what the car looks like inside. Lots of space inside for such a small vehicle, and you can see why they were super popular back in the 80s. So let's have a look underneath the hood. So looking under the hood here, I'll try and explain what is in there. You've got the 4-cylinder 1.5 liter 12 valve Honda engine from 1987, and you'll see that in Civics and CRXs. It's a carbureted engine with a little tiny 2-barrel carburetor. There's your distributor, which is sticking out on the end there. And there's a couple linkable fuses in this part here, and a couple other things like solenoids. Over on this side, you've got the water bottle or the windshield wiper fluid bottle. Way down here is the alternator. Here's the cover for the timing belt, which needs to be replaced about every 100,000 kilometers. It's not too difficult to do. Here's the super tiny master cylinder and the master cylinder boost unit right there. I've got all the original labels on here, so that in itself is kind of cool, and I'll just show you some of these as we go around. And you'll notice that things are in English and French, because where I live, and in other languages I guess as well, English and French are the 2 official languages. And it's so nice to have these original labels in perfect shape, which is really cool, I think. Yeah, that's nice. So that's pretty much under the hood of this little car, and generally speaking, it's enough to power this thing. All right, let's take it out for a run. That's in second gear right there. So now it's in fifth gear, just cruising along. Horn works. Hazards work. Wipers. This is just a different angle to show you a little bit more about the interior of this CRX. Alright, so I'm just going almost 100, almost 60 miles an hour, almost 100 kilometers. Got a couple of twisties up here, and we're just going to take these things at a decent speed. This car hugs the road and does a great job. And we're coming into a fairly wide, long right-hand turn right now. Hugging the road really well around this corner. And then up here, a little bit of a straightaway, and then a left-hand turn, kind of like the one we just did. And we're swinging into the left-hand turn. Got some nice farms up ahead with some horses on the left, if you can see them. And now we got some farm traffic up here. Hey everyone, that concludes the video on the 1987 red CRX. I tried to show you some of the key features of that car bringing it out from the mid 1980s to hopefully show some people out there what cars in the mid 80s look like compared to now. Plus I took it out for a drive and that thing is still looking pretty good, and hopefully I'll have it for several years to come. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for your support, and we'll catch you right back here next time.